is why MSO is important, the overview of the capabilities that we have built out for these feature sets, how to set up your shop, how to manage your employees with the MSO feature, and the reporting structure that is created inside of the MSO. So believe it or not, MSO does not stand for my socks are off. It actually stands for multi-shop organization. So Techmetrics Multi-Shop is a platform that provides multi-shop owners and use a centralized location to run your entire organization, no matter how many shops you have. So the great thing about it and why it's important for you guys to know and understand is to help you manage your shops that you have signed up with Techmetric. It gives you a more easier and uniform setup process that you can have all your shops mimic each other, and it's a one-stop place for all your financial data. So your accountants are really going to appreciate it because now they're not going to have to go through 3 to 20 shops individually and pull over the end of day reports. It's just all in one location with the MSO features. So to start with, a couple things you need to know when you're building out your MSO is that's one key thing is actually the term publishing. Publishing is what we call it when you create something in the MSO features and then you're pushing it out to each individual shop. So you can put it in for one shop at a time, or you can push it out to all of your shops, or you can just create it and have it on standby in case you might use it again later. Christine, I see your hand raised up. I do apologize. I wanted to wait till the very end to address any questions that you have. Now, that's what publishing is, and that's for moving things from your MSO organization to the actual individual shops. And once you do that, that's when you actually publish it. So if you see the button publish, that's what that does. Now to get signed up with with the MSO features, you can go to the article database, and this is just a screenshot of what it looks like, and it gives you step-by-step instruction on how to sign up for it, how to set it up. And you can look at this article by hitting the resource center or the little question mark inside of Techmetric next to the shop name. Go to get training, access workflow overview, and then just type in MSO inside of the search bar. And that's what's going to pull up this article and give you more information on how to actually get started and get your shop signed up with your MSO function. Now, that is one way. Another way is actually going through the onboarding process and letting your onboarding rep know that, hey, I have multiple shops in my organization and we're interested in signing them up through your MSO function, and they'll be able to set you up through the onboarding process. You can also call into Techmetric support, and they will also be able to help you out and guide you along the way on actually getting started with the organization. There are some things that you're going to need to do and have information when you fill out these forms and start setting up your organization, things like what shops are associated with, which ones are you listed as the owner inside of Techmetric. And then there's also another function that's called other shops, or you might be listed as the owner for like 2 or 3 in your org. And then inside of your organization, inside of the Techmetric shop itself, you may be listed as like a shop manager or something. We do need to distinguish which ones are which, and then if you're the actual owner of the entire organization, or if you're just a franchise owner for one or more. Now, what our capabilities are inside of the MSO features, you can we have it split up into 2 separate categories. One is to help with the shop setup process, and then one are for the reports, and where you're all going to get your financial data put into place. So with the shop setup, you could have uniform canned jobs. And this is really important and really cool because 1, it makes it a lot easier setting up those canned jobs. And then 2, it gives a uniform look for all your franchises. For instance, like if you go to McDonald's anywhere in the world, right, and you order a quarter pounder with cheese, it's going to be the same and it's going to taste the same. That's the kind of uniform look that we're trying to get with the canned jobs. That way a customer knows exactly when they go into your shop what to expect, what kind of service they're going to get, and they're going in for a particular reason, usually for that. So that's why it was really important for us to build out that canned jobs function and have a uniform look throughout all of the shops in your organization. Job categories is also really important because we do have the sales by job categories report that's going to directly reflect inside of your MSO. So having the uniform job categories is going to allow all your shops to be reporting on the same thing. That way you can keep better track of all your financial numbers. Payment types, that's actually going to be set up in your other payments when you take an other payment. So if you don't accept Bitcoin, you can make sure that, hey, we don't have Bitcoin as a payment type. If you do employee deductions, for instance, that would be considered an other payment type. You can set it up underneath other payment types, and that's going to be reflected in your reports. Lead source, discounts, and inspections are also there. Inspections, same thing with canned jobs. It's going to give you that uniform look, and it makes it a lot easier to set it up through uh, one of these feature sets instead of actually going to each individual shop and setting up each individual inspection 6 times. You just do it once, publish it out to all 6 of your shops, and you're done. The reports, we have the comparison and custom report, which is a bit unique to the MSO features. If you're familiar with TechMetric already, you already know that we have a custom report inside of your TechMetric shop. So the reason why I have comparison slash custom report is because in the MSO features, the way that report works is actually going to be a comparison between all your shops. So you can keep track of the growth. You can compare one shop's financial dealings with another shop all through that one report, and it's really, really nice. But it works the same way. You can pick and choose the different metrics and the date ranges, and then you can compare, this period versus last period, this year versus last year, keep track of the growth of all of your shops all together. You also have access to some of the financial reports, not all the financial reports. We will go through that later, and your employee reports and parts reports. Keep note that what you don't have currently on this report is your customer reports. That is a feature set that we're going to talk about towards the end, but just keep note in the back of your head that we don't have the customer reports. So the first thing you need to learn about is actually setting up your canned jobs, because I personally think it's one of the most important features inside of the MSO when you're creating a uniform look throughout all of your shops. So you can build the canned jobs the same way. The individual part matrix will override the retail price of the part. So what I mean by that is actually taking, when you put in a part inside of a can job, like let's say I use 0W20 oil and I set the price for that, and I don't set up a package price for that 0W20 oil, but I say in my can job that I want to charge $3 per quart. So if I have a parts matrix that is going to auto apply every time I add a part in, that is going to override the retail price of that part in the can job. So when I add that part in, that part is going to be adjusted based on the retail price is going to be adjusted based on the individual shop itself. Now, if I have it locked in as a package price and I'm just going to charge them oil at $49.99, not an issue. It's going to charge $49.99 regardless of whatever the parts matrix puts in. But if it's something a bit more unique, for instance, like a brake service job, or I don't know, replacing an alternator, whatever the can job that you actually set up, the parts matrix will override the retail price of what you put in your organization. So the advantages behind it, again, uniform package pricing, having the same customer experience, and then managing, adjusting your can jobs all at once. So if you need to adjust the labor rate, because at the beginning of the year prices increase, you can adjust the labor rate for all your can jobs for all your organization or all your shops in one spot rather than each individual shop. Taxes will be corrected in the individual shop itself. That is one big difference when you're setting up a can job inside of your MSO organization versus an individual shop. In an individual shop, you have the ability to charge parts tax or charge labor tax. And the can jobs function, when you're building it out through the MSO, you'll notice there is no option for the taxes. Taxes will be applied automatically once you publish it to each individual shop. Now, what you do need to be aware of is if you build out something like a state inspection, and the state inspection for most states, and I won't say all states, but for most states, you actually are not supposed to charge taxes on your state inspection. So you do have to notify that as being tax exempt in each individual shop. You won't be able to do that from the MSO feature because the MSO feature does not allow you to do any sort of taxes on the individual can jobs. So we do need to be aware that you need to go back in situations like that to each individual shop and make those corrections or make those adjustments. So this is what it looks like, a little screenshot inside of the MSO organization. You'll notice the big green button on the top right corner says publish out, and we can see how many shops each individual can job is published to. That's where that blue link is there. So if you actually click on that blue link where it says one shop, you can have a breakdown and see what shops are actually that has been published to. You can also hit all the checkboxes on the left-hand side, and then you have the manage gear. That's where you can go and adjust the labor rate um, and manage your CAD jobs a little bit better, all in one uniform look. So you can continuously put if you created a CAD job and you publish it out for one shop, you can then later go out and publish it for the rest of the shops. It's just giving you a breakdown of all the shops that each individual job has been published to. Now the next one is actually going to be creating a can job. So this is what it looks like. Again, it looks a little different from how it looks inside of like building out a can job inside of your shop, which is why I wanted to show you this. You can add a category and labor and parts and fees and discounts just like you can, but again, the key thing here is missing all the tax information inside of the actual job, and it even has a note section you can add in notes for the customer to see. All right, the next topic that I wanted to review of creating a uniform look is the lead sources. This is actually going to be directly reflecting your marketing, right? This is where you put in how the customer was brought into your shop, and you're going to be able to keep track of all your marketing data. So even though we don't have any customer reports inside of MSO features at this time, you still are able to keep track of your marketing sources through the lead sources and have that uniform look throughout all your shops. That way you can keep track of the marketing resource and how you're spending your marketing dollars in each individual shop. And this is also another place that it becomes pretty easy. Like if you have shops in 6 different towns and you're only doing radio ads for 3 towns, you know, you have the ability to have that lead source set up to just apply to those 3 shops and not the other 3 that don't have those radio ads. The inspections works the exact same way. You can create a new inspection. That's going to be almost exactly the same way as it is inside of your TechMetric shop. You can publish out to all your shops or just one, but over here we just have a quick overview of the inspection. So when you're managing employees inside of the MSO feature, you're not actually going to be adding them in. You're just going to manage what they can do, and you're going to be able to review all of your employees all at once. So that way I know if I have 20 shops and each one of my shops has 10 to 15 employees, this is where I can go to see my complete employee list. And I can also monitor which employee is associated with each individual shop. So this is also really good, especially at the very beginning when you're actually adding in all of these employees, right? If I have 20 shops with 10 to 15 employees, I may make a mistake and make a human error and add somebody into the incorrect shop, or may add somebody in or forget to add somebody into a shop that should have been added into. This is a great place where you can double check your work as far as being an organizational leader and making sure everyone is exactly where they're supposed to be. This is also where you can go to allow permissions to MSO features. So even though you can't add employees, you're not able to edit the individual employees in what they can and can't do in the shop, which meaning I can't change a technician to a service writer. I can't make those adjustments on the MSO features, but what I can do is allow somebody to be able to view or edit the MSOs. So if I had an accountant that doesn't need to be creating can jobs, but they need to review all the financial data, I can allow that accountant to view all of the MSO features. That way they have access to all of those reports without having to worry about creating can jobs or creating inspections. It also allows you to have shortcuts to individual employee profiles. So this is again a master list if somebody is associated with a shop and then they become move from one shop to another shop, or maybe we need to remove them from a couple shops and because they're just going to be dealing with one. Like if somebody is a technician who floats around and then they get promoted to a service writer, they're going to be working at one individual shop. Then you can have a shortcut to each individual employee and go to their individual employee profile directly from that employees list to the employees list inside of the shop. So you don't have to go out and go back in and make a bunch of additional clicks. So this is kind of what it looks, or this is what it looks like inside of the MSO features. You'll notice on the right-hand side where it says multi-shop access, a lot of them say none. That's probably going to be true in your organizations. Most employees that you have aren't going to have access to the MSO features. Couple of them do have a read-only access. Now, I myself don't have access to this organization. So what I'm missing that you will all see is the three dots on the right-hand side, and that's where you can adjust everyone's permissions. So we can also keep track of how many shops or what shops they are associated with that blue number. Says one shop, two shop, three shop, four shop. And no, I did not mean to sound like Dr. Seuss right there. All right, so that's going to bring us up to the report side of things. So the first report that we want to talk about is the custom financial report. And earlier I mentioned how there's the custom/comparison report. That's this report right here. So we can compare all the shops in your organization. You can easily keep track of all your KPIs that you want to keep track of, because again, this is the custom report. So I can pick and choose what I want to show, which also means I can pivot the table around to view different data margins. I can pick different date ranges. I can pick period since period, and then compare and view different groups of data all at this one report. I personally love this report. It's one of my favorite reports inside of TechMetric. There's so many uses for it, and it just boggles my mind about how this report was actually built in. I absolutely love it. It's pretty cool. This is what it looks like inside of it. So you also notice there's the export button on the top right corner. So you can export this into a CSV file and actually adjust it if you wanted to in an Excel spreadsheet. But we can see that this is how the comparison works. So we can keep track of the change percentage between each individual shop, whether it's increased or decreased. And then we have the different metrics set up. So this right here is set up by metric on the top left corner. You can actually change that to view the table and different methods. And the metrics gear on the top left corner, you can also pick and choose what metrics and adjust them. So if I'm worried about my overall gross profit percentage, like I have moved it up to the top on my organization. But if I wanted to move sales dollar amounts to the very top, I can move that at the top. So it doesn't have to look the same way. You can pick and choose what exactly you want to view and how you want to view it. If you haven't had a chance to play around with this report, I strongly encourage you to play with it. If you don't have an MSO set up, then play with it inside of your individual shop, because it is pretty cool. So the rest of the reports that we're going to be going over is the end of day report, or the EOD report as it stands inside of TechMetric. That's going to give you the snapshot of your overall performance for each individual shop. Now, how it works inside of the MSO features is actually going to combine all of your shops into one nice, neat little end of day report. So you'll have an overview of everything combined into one. You can filter it out to each individual shop, but by default, when you first open up that report, it's going to be everything combined into one end of day report, which makes it really nice and really clean to review. You also have access to your tax reports. So when Uncle Sam comes knocking, you have those tax reports ready to go for them. Sales by job category report is also there, so you can keep track of all your categories and what you're doing well in, and maybe what categories need to be a bit more adjustment, and you could make good business decisions based on that sales job by job category report. Now, the accounts receivable report, technically that is here inside of TechMetric. However, unlike how it operates in the shop, it is a view-only access, meaning I can't actually take payments in your accounts receivable. I can't, send customers out their invoices through that report. I do have a shortcut to view the accounts receivable report inside of each individual shop itself, but I do have to make those clicks similar to how it works inside the employees to actually go to to give people their invoices for their accounts receivable or to actually make payments towards it. So, but can keep track of all of my shop's accounts receivable all in one nice, neat little report. Accounts payable, hacker tracker, fees, and discounts reports are not included at this time. And again, there are no customer reports at this time. A big reason for that is because there's no shared history for a customer's report inside the MSOs. That is going to be coming out, but at this time, we have none of that set up because we want to be able to have the shared history before we have the customer reports. Now, this is what it looks like when you actually click on reports in the top left corner. You'll notice the custom financial, it's also the custom comparison report is at the top left corner. And then we have all of your financial reports listed out below. They're nice boxes. They look very similar to what you're used to looking at in each individual shop. And then we have financial reports, employee reports, and parts reports. So the employee reports is going to be all the same employee reports minus the inspection report. All of these reports work the exact same way as they do inside of your individual shop. So you can keep track of all your employees, what they're doing, what they're working on, and how well they're performing all through your MSO function. You also have the parts reports. Again, you have the parts purchased and the parts usage report. So this way you can keep track of all the parts you're buying versus all the parts that you're using. These reports work the exact same way, except they have the function to where you can filter it out per shop. But when you first open up, it is by default going to include all of the shops in your organization. So these are really, really useful and keep track of where your dollars are going and leaving. All right. Do we have any questions at all? And I do want to thank you again for all coming in this afternoon. But while we're taking questions, I'm actually going to close out of this slideshow and bring up the actual organization that we have so we can make a few clicks and adjustments and actually look at it from over here. Is there an ETA on shared history being available for customers? Yes. Our goal, we are currently working on that right now. We plan on having it released to everybody by the end of the summer. So I can't say for a specific day, like, hey, on July 15th, it's coming out. I can't say that specifically, but our targets right now is to have it released by the end of the summer. Do we log into different locations for this information in MSO login? No, actually, you will just click on the TechMetric logo on the top left corner, and it'll bring you right up to all of your shop locations. And I think I saw somebody else answer a question or ask a question. Is there any way you can email me the slideshow that I can present to my boss who couldn't make it? Very possibly, Tiffany. I will say I'll refer to Mr. Daniel, Mr. Tim to take a note of that. So, yes, somebody raised their hand. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay. So what is the price after the free trial at this time? That is something we are currently still working on, making adjustments to and figuring out. So we don't have an exact price point at this time that we are aware of, but that is eventually we will be charging for the MSO features. Right now, I say take all the advantage of it as you can while it is free, and we're still working on making this feature set bigger and better for everyone. Also, we really need your feedback on things that you want to see, things that you like, things that you dislike about it. That way we can make it even better for everyone. But at this time, we do not know what the price point will be when we do eventually charge for the MSO features.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
And you may have covered this. Apologies if you did. I was half in and half out for a portion of the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have on the roadmap being able to move either or open repair orders or parts that were purchased from one store to another.
So like a shared inventory?
A shared inventory would be one, but let's say you receive a vehicle at one location that's overloaded and you want to move that to the other location to have the work done. So you're going to want to be able to move any parts cost and or parts that have been ordered over to the other store. And I know there's several different ways to do that, but I don't know if that's something that was even on the roadmap with y'all.
Yeah. Right now, the only thing or the things that are really on the roadmap that I personally am aware of is the shared history and the customer reports are going to be coming out. I think shared history obviously is coming first. I don't imagine that's something that we haven't thought of in the future. I don't think it is currently being worked on, something like that, but I can definitely see us coming out with that feature. I think that'd be really, really cool to have.
But shared history was tracking, hopefully for end of summer to be rolled out and available to us, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. You're very welcome. And I think I saw somebody else write a question about the difference between full access or read-only access and the ability to edit. So if I go into my employees and I have the read-only or full edit access, so what that's going to do is if they have read-only, they could view everything that is listed out, but they can't actually do anything. So I won't be able to publish this. I won't be able to manage anything. I won't be able to create a new job. That's going to be the read-only. Full access allows me to manage and make all those adjustments.
Hey, Isaac, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right. So I am on the actual shop side of TechMetric. So ordering parts in for vehicles and stuff like that. We've been trying to get it to work, but we haven't been able to kind of figure it out yet. So whenever we go to add parts to a vehicle's ticket, we have it connected to WorldPack, so it'll open up WorldPack on another screen, and we can go through and select parts and then check out. I'm assuming that when we check out, it's supposed to go ahead and input those parts into our inventory, but so far we have not gotten that part to actually work. Is that supposed to go like that, or?
So you're saying when you order parts from WorldPack on an individual repair order or ticket, and it's not getting transferred to your inventory, it's just going to the repair order, or it's not going anywhere inside of TechMetric?
Yeah, it doesn't go into TechMetric at all. We've actually been manually inputting those parts into TechMetric inventory for ourselves.
Okay. So at this time, inventory isn't connected with WorldPack. So if you're ordering parts through WorldPack specifically for inventory, then yes, that is the way it's supposed to work at this time. The only one that we're able to do stock ordering is Parts Tech, because they're just simply because they're the only other system that has built out a stock ordering process that will be compatible with TechMetric. Now, when you're ordering parts through WorldPack through a ticket, that part information will get transferred over to TechMetric if you're accessing buying parts through the actual ticket or the repair order itself through the parts hub. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so that's what you just said. That's what we're doing. So we have our ticket open, and we're going through. We select Parts Hub, and then we have our speed dial, which is our WorldPack set up in our Parts Hub. So we click that. It'll open up our speed dial, open up WorldPack. We can go through and select parts, hit checkout, and from that point, we're guessing it's supposed to export what we've just ordered into the inventory of TechMetric, but it's not doing that.
Okay. I would recommend actually calling into customer support about that, because they have a whole page of troubleshooting issues with WorldPack, and that sounds like it's a issue that needed to be troubleshot.
Okay.
All right.
That'll work
you.
for us. No problem.
All right.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
And maybe one more after that. I just haven't thought of that one yet. Adding new team members. Is it recommended best practice to add team members to the multi-shop console first and then select which location they will be assigned to, or do I add them to their individual location and only add them to the multi-shop console if I need them under multiple locations?
So when you add a new employee to the individual shop, they're automatically going to get add it into your multi-shop master list, so to speak. This is the master list that's going to view everybody in. I can see who has access to what individual shops through here. And then if I click on that shop, I'm going to get a shortcutted to that individual profile. So the difference is somebody who has owner or read-only access or view access, that's where I can actually manage where they go inside the MSO. So this is more of a master list because I can't actually edit any employee permissions and I cannot add employees through the MSO. I do have to add them in through the individual shop.
So if I have somebody that's going to operate out of 2 or 3 locations, I'm going to have to manually add them to each location and then set their settings at each location accordingly. And then they'll appear in the multi-shop console, and I'll need to make sure that I have them set up for whatever permissions I want at the multi-shop level also. Is that correct?
That is correct at this time. Yeah. Which is also why this is one of the reasons why the MSO features are still in beta, because I do believe that is something else that we are going to be working on for sure. Now, for instance, if I had Mr. Paul and he has read-only access to the MSO, but he's only associated with one shop. Obviously, that's a mistake. I can click on here. Okay, he's at Paul's shop. Now I need to go add him into the few other shops, and then it'll say 2, 3 shops like I do have on some of these other employees.
Got it. That's the way I've been doing it. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss something in the presentation and that there was an easier way. But
no, that's exactly how it's supposed to be done.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. And then shop locations, obviously this is where you can keep track of all your shops. You can create a new shop from here as well. That's pretty neat. Any other questions that we have? I know there was a bunch of questions going on through the chat. I apologize. I'm pick and choosing exactly what ones I'm answering as they popped up.
Isaac, we have one question. Is it possible to track shop supplies in TechMetric?
Like shop supply fees or shop supplies in general? Because at this time, we don't have a fees report, but there's not a location inside of the MSO to really keep track of how much you're spending on shop supplies in general. Just because we don't have that inside of TechMetric at this time where you can actually put in, like, okay, this is how much I spent this month on shop supplies. But at this time, yeah, we just have the discounts. And oops, if I click on reports, I don't have a fees report yet inside of the financial reports. Fees and discounts will be added. I don't have a timeline on when those will be added, but I can say they will be added in the future.
And then another question was, when updating canned jobs or labor, we ran into an issue with jobs that already have parts on them, as well as publishing these to other stores. Is this resolvable within the MSO?
So, okay, let me see if I understand correctly. So if we're talking about canned jobs, right? I have, let's do remove and replace the battery with this part. And then I want to add in more parts to this. So I want to add in another part. Just say this is the battery. So we're also going to put in a battery cable. I could spell, I swear. Part number 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to add in one. Let's say it costs $15 and we're going to charge $25 for that. I'm going to hit save. So when I do that, now I need to publish it out. So I'm going to hit publish to one shop or all the shops. Let's see, which shop is it in right now? It is in Clayton's 4 shop. So you can see that I have a new version of this canned job that has been saved. So it's not actually going to reflect inside of the shop itself until I publish it to that individual shop. So we're just going to use Clayton's shop. Just added in that cable. And then I have the option to just update the job title and category, or I can override the can job. When I override the entire can job, that's going to allow me to add in that additional part that I just put in. I'm going to publish it out, and then bam, once that happens, we can see I no longer have that purple tag that's letting me know that it's been changed. Now it's been published and it's full. So that just added in with this individual shop itself that can job has been updated, and now the battery cable is going to be reflected inside of that job. Yep, and Mr. Clayton, he is a TechMetric employee. He also wanted to make a note in case anybody isn't able to read the chat. If anyone has any feature requests specific to MSO, please use the MSO multi-shop category within Canny. That's our feature request board. And then his team personally monitors the specific tag and uses it to help drive the roadmap. Oh, Mr. Team Ryan, I think y'all got plenty of things you want on the roadmap on that feature.
Yeah, just adding to that, we love hearing any kind of feedback, even if it's bad, if it's something that you guys don't like with the current setup. As Isaac mentioned earlier, this is a relatively new product that we're offering, so there's still a lot of things that are missing that we're working through, and we do want to get feedback on how things work now. So just giving you guys a little bit of more info on the current roadmap. Obviously, it's in flux and changing a lot, but what we're working on now is shared customer history across all shops within the organization. So just giving service riders and anybody else within individual shops that visibility into a customer's history within other shops to get the complete picture. And then currently kicking off requirements for shared inventory across shops. So again, kind of like centralized inventory management, possibly transferring inventory from one shop to another, things like that, being able to check stock levels all within the multi-shop dashboard. So those are two of the really big pieces that I think we're going to be working on this year. And then the third thing that I currently am tracking is employee management. So actually being able to create new employees, edit employees' permissions, and change their shops if they need to, all within one location versus having to do it, within each individual shop. So right now, those are the three big things that are on my radar. But again, would love to hear other feedback, and feel free to add it to Canny and give it some votes using that tag. But again, just appreciate everyone's patience as we work through adding stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Clayton.
I believe that was all the questions in the chat message or the chat box.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, do we need to go over anything else other than the can jobs? I did just make a correction in here, but I didn't want to ask y'all real fast because we do have about 5 more minutes left. Does anybody want me to demonstrate any other function inside of the MSO feature set? Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, then I can give y'all your 5 minutes back, and we can call it an afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Isaac.
Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
See you.